Hello, YouTube. It's Rich UX from the Rich+Niche channel, back with another student success interview from the Rich+Niche Academy. Today, I'm joined by Knox Colina, all the way from Hawaii, one of my most favorite places as a person to go. Welcome to the channel, Knox.
Thank you for having me, Rich.
It's such a pleasure to have you. You've been in my community for a while. You're such a community-oriented person. Give our audience a little bit of your background, especially your age, and a bit of your backstory here.
No worries. I started with Rich and Niche when I was 18. And at the time, I was working full time for the bank here in Hawaii. And ever since I finished the program through Rich and Niche, I had left the bank where I was making about 40,000 a year, working more than full time. I was definitely taking those overtime hours. And today I find myself making almost 70,000 a year, working a little bit less than half of that as a digital marketer. Specifically, I'm specializing in social media in the local automotive industry.
Awesome opening, really detailed, loved it. Gonna dive into some of those aspects. So, how old are you currently?
That's right. I am now 20 years old. So
Okay, so you've
we've
been
been
two
at this for,
years.
that's right.
Huh. And you've been working with automotive clients. Let's just jump right into that. What is that like? Give us a sense of who these kind of clients are. You don't have to say the names. And I've never worked in the automotive, so I'm very interested.
No, I hear you. The automotive industry is, I originally expected it to be more like high ticket sales. But I'm not working in luxury cars. And I found that mass market vehicles is easier to get into for one, because there's just more companies like Toyotas, Chevys, Ford. And I found that they are very big on getting more vehicles out there rather than getting the one sale through. So I had to change the strategy I was originally going to go with, which is more trying to get that one big sale to a new strategy, which is less focused and reaches to a broader audience because it's a mass consumer vehicle. That's the biggest thing I had. So now all of the content is built around having high viewership. But since we're fighting for local presence, which is like only 1 million people in Hawaii, we had to stray away from trends actually. So we've done almost zero trends, but got a collective of 2 million views in like 6 months. So that's the mind process I have right now for local automotive.
Well, I love to hear that. That's very fascinating. I'm sure the audience is definitely into that kind of detail about the agency and freelance lifestyle. I want to take it back a bit here. And I think what's interesting is you were working at a bank, and probably when you got that job, were you pretty stoked about it? Was that actually kind of part of your pathway at the time? Or was it something you did because you felt you had to and you were struggling with being in that role?
I picked up my role at the bank because I knew I had a strength in communications, and it was specifically a call center role. For a while, I actually thought about going into finance because of that. But I did find that I wasn't really a fan of finance. So at first I was stoked, and then over time it became like I don't see myself in this for the next 5 to 10 years.
So would you say digital marketing, when you found it, or content creation and these elements, did it catch you off guard that how interesting it was to you, or had you also been eyeing that for a while?
All of my passion since I was maybe 10 years old has been focused around certain creative hobbies, so illustration and video editing. Digital marketing had become a way to turn those hobbies into an actual career. I never understood why, let's say, Riot Games, one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, has so many artists on their in their corporation. A lot of people that just make drawings and they get paid really well. And then I understood it's because of digital marketing why they put so much funding behind art. Because in a lot of ways, art is a trap for human attention.
Mhm.
And so that's what really got me into digital marketing once I found you, is that I found that it utilizes how art can kind of hold somebody for a moment to sell a product.
Very deep on the media philosophy. I love it. art isn't a trap for an attention. It's a beautiful line. Well, that's fantastic that you were able to tap into sort of your young, energetic soul and keep it alive. Whereas so many of us kind of get into a career for money or income, and it's just like, well, I'm going to say goodbye to some of the things I like. So, would it be fair to say you're feeling quite fulfilled on your journey so far? You're feeling quite energetic about everything, very positive?
I would say yes, especially because now I'm actually working with somebody to on their other venture, which is regarding non-lethal weaponry. And so that's going to be interesting because theirs is also very like numbers focused. They want as many sales as possible. I think they said it takes one gun a day to break even, and they're shooting for 14 a day. So they're partnering with me to kind of hit that 14 a day mark because that's calculated to be the million a year.
That's an
So
exciting project. Guns are so visual,
yeah,
even when they're doing nothing. And I think that it's not common to see a lot of media of that. And I think the people who like it love it. So I see a great content marketer working with that kind of a product. Very exciting opportunity. Would you agree?
I do agree. I did a lot of market research for them. Found we have one competitor on the whole island. And the other thing is Hawaii is very gun restrictive. This does not count as a gun under any legal sense. So you can buy it without any kind of training or certification because it's non-lethal.
Interesting.
So
Always cool to hear about a unique opportunity like that. So you get a new marketing angle.
yes, for sure. Especially, I think my favorite part is analyzing data and analyzing the market because when I was looking at like coaches and consultants, this was before automotive, I got a good sense of like a lot of coaches that need marketing are just starting up and don't have like the funds to pay out for a full marketing suite. But automotive definitely has it, and I think this non-lethal company might have it as well in the future at least.
So that's an interesting point because even if you're working with coaches and consultants, wouldn't you say that the work you're doing is almost identical to the work with automotive or the work with guns, so that who we choose to work with is really key and within our power to choose that? Would you agree about that?
I definitely agree because I know like if I was working at the bank, realistically, I could jump from one call center to another call center, like Spectrum. But working digital marketing, I can go from automotive industry, take what I learned there, go into the gaming industry and build like trailers and marketing campaigns. Because I mean, you could buy any car because all you really need is from A to B. So you could also buy any game because all you're asking for is entertainment. And then the only difference is the packaging. So
You have such a nice, broad, both artistic and like technical approach. Do you think you're quite balanced as a marketer that way?
I think that is one of the biggest strengths for me is because I do have a small team of two editors and one graphic artist. And with that small team, I am able to become the art director and the person that kind of makes the marketing campaign and then keeps it in that scope. And that's how we bring our results the most, is just very focused sets of content. And the fact that we don't do trends has actually been a really big strength for us because people who follow us, they don't expect another trendy page. They expect their neighbor to be posting, because we're like right there.
Now, as you know, I work with a lot of people who have remote clients. A lot of the work we do is online on the computer. Now, I know you're focused in Hawaii and perhaps you are going to the dealerships or to see your clients. What percentage of your work do you consider remote, if at all? Do you consider yourself location independent at all? I'm just curious.
I wouldn't say location independent, but 90% of my work is at home or like at a coffee shop. The 10% is going in and getting the footage myself, which I wouldn't have it any other way because that getting the footage myself is also where I build rapport with the client. It's where
Mhm.
I talk to them in person and build a connection. I think I've had such a low churn. I don't think I've ever lost a client on their stances because I always see them once a week or twice a week. And that's for like 1 hour. But in that 1 hour, I can talk to them. I can show them how hard it is to actually go out there and like be in Hawaiian sun for like an hour straight just recording. And so it kind of, as a marketer, you know how to build an image. And being there in person is probably the best way to do that.
Yeah, I can't disagree. As much as the work we do can be remote,
That's right.
you might as well take advantage of wherever you're living currently and be one of the best marketers in that region. And yeah, like you said, even just 10% can change the whole game. Retention. I'm actually off to a bit of a shoot myself right after this. So I totally resonate. And I don't think you have to have hard rules about this as long as that you're feeling in the flow of life for now. I think that if you truly had to, you could change things. You could get someone else on your team or do some things remotely. But it's great to hear you still have such flexibility. So if we go back to so now you don't have to go to the bank. Now you're getting paid almost twice as much as you were at the bank, although it sounds like you have some costs to deal with, but there's probably some beneficial write-offs as well.
Oh yeah.
And now you can work at home in half the time. I mean, that's a completely different lifestyle. I mean, how does it feel to be from that 50 hours a week to where you are now?
It definitely feels very good because like I say I have a small team, but the small team costs maybe 10,000 a year. So I went from 70 in revenue to like 60, which is
Mhm.
still crazy revenue. Because 60 is more than like the median earner, individual earner in Hawaii. So going off of that, it also opens me up because I am currently pursuing a double bachelor's degree. So I haven't even left college yet. And with 6 classes for this semester, I still find myself putting like almost 70 hours into schoolwork. But thanks to the team and well, effective time management, I've been able to get pretty good GPA. I'm at 3.5 right now, but I do find myself sacrificing assignments as long as I can calculate it out of the equation. But overall, yeah, it's been really good. I can still get my double bachelor's, so I have my safety net. I don't think I need the safety net, but it does feel nice to have all that data in the background or the ethos, the credibility, because it's in artificial intelligence and marketing. So it's like a double marketing thing because I have yours. And this marketing one has been stupid easy because I've taken your course, but it's like, okay, it's fine. It's not expensive, so it's fine for me to go through it.
You didn't even include this university stuff at the beginning, which adds a
Yeah,
whole
that's right.
awesome layer on it. I mean, hey, I have two kids, a wife, I'm having a home I'm trying to take care of. So I just think it's important that people know that we can live a normal life or do extraordinary things like a double bachelor's and afford it. Like the idea of making 60,000 US dollars and being in university to me kind of blows my mind. I just don't believe hardly anyone is doing that. You must be in the 1%. I mean, I know there's some people out there, it's like, oh, it's not seven figures, it's not this and that. It's like, well, what were you doing when you were 20 years old? I mean, I didn't get started till my 30s. So you're just kind of putting me to shame, and so many of us to shame, like how amazing this start is. I got to ask you, how big is your vision now? What has changed in terms of what you believe is possible since you kind of broke into this?
A lot. I think the biggest thing is it's not career-wise, professional or anything. It's more personal that I used to think it was really hard to have that sense of community while having a job and working through like the degrees and stuff, but that's become one of my main focuses in the little free time I have is building a community. In the future, I do plan on having a small empire or a big one, ideally. And my goal is to make 100,000 by the time I'm 23. So that's one thing. And then the other goal is I'm sorry, not make, but to have a net worth of 100,000. And then every 5 years or so, like double that as much as I can. But the bigger thing is keeping that sense of community or like that camaraderie around me, whether that's through you guys at Rich+Niche or my small community that's literally called camaraderie for that reason. That's the biggest thing is having that village that I never took seriously before, but having a little bit more time, like summer just ended, so this revelation was through summer, but the capacity of community has become very important to me, even if they're just gamers and not other business people. I still love them.
Well, I mean, I'm a gamer myself. I think
That's
most
right.
of us are becoming gamers these days. And I think that gaming is a powerful way to communicate in a more vulnerable and casual way. Maybe not super vulnerable, but it's not like being at the office where there's politics and
Oh yeah.
status and stuff. There's a bit of a rawness to it. So I totally connect with that. And I think like I'm a big community person myself. I think you have to invest there. I think
Oh yeah.
you get what you put in. I don't think everyone comes from that. And maybe we're lucky that we got that mindset, but it's one of the most important things going into 2025 and beyond because of AI, because of the fakeness out there, because of the corporate aspect of media. Like real community is very valuable. So I applaud you for keeping that as a priority. And I think your goals are really nice, and I think you're going to crush it. Let's talk a little bit about like what Rich and Niche was for you. Like, I don't know what skills you already had. You already did art and video editing, but like, 2 years ago, what would you say was like the key impact we were able to make for you? What was the thing that stands out for you?
I think this is an underrepresented demographic for Rich and Niche that maybe is possible for you to aim to in the future. But I believe that Rich and Niche is the perfect place for creatives, because a creative doesn't understand how to use that art to like make a buck or two with it, right? Other than direct to sell or commissioning. But commissioning is like $100 for 8 hours of time. Direct to seller, like you don't even know if you're gonna have anyone buy your ready to print shirt design in the next like year, especially if you don't know how to market it. So honestly think that if you are a creative, like you love dabbling in Canva, you love Photoshop, you love designing websites, I think that Rich and Niche has the tools that you don't have and a way to build on your artistic skill stack. That's one of the biggest things. I didn't have any skills in data analytics. I didn't know how to create a funnel, but I knew the way to make it look nice and I knew how to engage people with that funnel. I just didn't know how to describe it yet either. And so a lot of Rich and Niche was a lot of unknown unknowns. Like I didn't know I could use a video to bring someone toward a website link. I didn't know that I could use art as a way to generate revenue for somebody. And so, especially now with AI art and AI video editing and AI video generation, it's not that it will totally replace the artists in the future, but those who don't want to be replaced should know how to use what they already have to create a job out of it. And that's what Richard Nisha has really done for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, the perfect place for creatives has sort of crossed my mind that content and creative is a very unique thing that's hard to teach or hard to build community around. It's not easy, and maybe that is one of our unique edges. Thanks for saying that. And to those out there who maybe resonate with that, can take a look at what we've got going on. The more I do these interviews, and I've done quite a few lately, they'll be coming out on the channel, but I actually, don't need people to like endlessly talk about our company, or I don't feel like the need to kind of keep pounding on that. Like we've got about 5-10 minutes left. I have a hard stop. I want to ask you actually about AI. You just brought it up. You talked about it. I think at our company, we're going through a lot of different discussions around how should AI be utilized. I'd just love to get a few of your takes on how you're using AI. Why don't we start with what is your general feeling right now as a creative interpreting what you're seeing right now in the market, whether it's Sora or music generation or Mid-Journey? What's your general feeling? Let's get a sense of how you perceive AI first.
I guess if I could say it in one sentence, AI is the perfect servant, but a terrible master. You can't let AI lead your copywriting. You can't let AI lead your artistic vision. It can suggest designs for you, it can suggest copywriting to you, but ultimately, it is not better than what the composer has in store for it, right now, at least. So, at least for now and the foreseeable future, I would say do not use AI as the replacement for your abilities. Maybe you can hire somebody to look at the copywriting that AI created, which is cheaper than having them just make it themselves and then have them tweak it, which is still cheaper than having them start it from scratch. Maybe have an artist edit some AI or photoshopped together like AI pieces and have them with that as a reference rather than having them do it from scratch because that's still cheaper than having them do it from scratch. So that's my thoughts broadly on AI right now. Great, wonderful servant, terrible leader.
That's pretty cool. Haven't heard that yet. I think that does make a lot of sense. So, one of the things I'm kind of saying to people is use AI to make various processes better, but most of those processes should be quote unquote behind the camera, let's say. Whereas I feel like anything front facing, anything brand output, anything people can see, you have to be wildly careful about deciding to allow AI to speak for you. I think there's some really obvious words, styles that you see that can ultimately negatively hurt you, I think. I'm definitely on the fence. I don't know how this plays out. Let me give you an example of something that just came on my desk today is like, hey, we want to make a video that looks like UGC using HeyGen and 11 Labs that's basically reading your reviews. So it's things that people have said, but these are fake people. And I don't even know how to interpret this. It looks real, but then someone can easily say, oh, you just made a fake AI review. And I feel very nervous about that. What are your thoughts about that area of AI?
From a PR kind of perspective, I mean, there's that saying it takes 10 years to build trust and 10 minutes to break it. I think it only takes one of those AI videos to be caught for the whole company's like image to at least go down a little bit.
Yeah,
I guess Coca-Cola was one of them, where they remade one of the old advertisements in AI and then
right.
platformed that across YouTube. It caused a lot of controversy. There's the argument that like all publicity is good publicity, but there's also the argument of like a lot of people, I guess will be normally progressives in Coca-Cola's case, do not feel very good about Coca-Cola.
Mm.
Maybe, and it's such an easy thing to replace. Like I could go get a Pepsi or Dr. Pepper if I wanted to, and Dr. Pepper has now overtaken Pepsi as the number two best drink in the world. So it
Right.
might say something, like it might actually be dealing damage that maybe they don't feel now, but would feel 5, 10 years down the line. Because as people that don't care about AI, that are normally older, get phased out, and then the younger generation becomes those older people, they will remember that. And I love branding as I love branding more than most aspects of marketing. And I think if you want to use AI, it really should be in the background until it becomes good enough where you can't tell it wasn't a human that made it at all. But the moment you get found out, you lose a lot of rapport that you've been building for most of your life. And so there's that.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I typically agree with that. And I think that there will be a crossover phase where maybe so many people use this in some way, it kind of becomes overlooked. But I think we're still in that time where you're going to get judged a lot from that crowd who's hanging on to no AI and such. And yeah, I think it is a bit difficult seeing how some of the models have been trained on like work that maybe wasn't permissioned and such. So such an interesting time. I mean, it's been going on for about a year now. I think it's still just emerging, and I do feel like we're getting close to this AGI singularity type thing. If we're not already there, we wouldn't really know when we were there. Listen, we're almost out of time. It's been great to chat, and I think I'm gonna have to bring you back on more of an expert's role. I think there's a lot you have to share. I think you have a
Yeah.
great vision about the future for content, and I want to ask maybe one more question and then we'll get you to say like where people can find you and we'll wrap it up. So if you had the next perfect client and maybe someone out there is watching this right now and they're thinking of hiring you, maybe they're in Hawaii, maybe they're not, but what do they look like? How much do they want to spend and what do they want to do with their current business? What are they trying to accomplish working with you?
I think right now the perfect clients, if they were to come to my doorstep, would be making around like 1 million to 50 million. The dealerships I work to as a conglomerate make over 3 billion, but the individual dealerships do make within that up to 300 million because I think I can, well, I know I can get because the dealership I worked with went from the number four dealership in the state to the number one in its brand. And so I know I can take you from that 300 up to 500 or 600 million through just social media content by itself. And right now it would be in product, straight to consumer type of businesses. It used to be only automotive, but now with non-lethal weaponry on the plate and soon maybe hot sauce. That's another one I'm working with. It looks
Beautiful.
like, yeah, that looks like that's gonna be the best type of client.
I mean, those types of products can be so spicy, quote
Yeah,
unquote,
that's
and
right.
I think it can be so fun. And I did a little bit of CPG myself with these cocktail products, and it's a more fun. So that's awesome. I'm hearing what you're working on. And yeah, overall, this has just been a great catch up, and it's been very enthusiastic for me to see how much you're, excelling and enjoying the work. I will have you back. Where can people look you up, get to know you more, follow you?
You guys can all find me as Kaizen Knox on Instagram, YouTube, any social media where you want to find me. That's Kaizen Knox. Kaizen is infinite improvement.
Infinite improvement. And also, you like sovereign as well, which is a word,
That's
one of
right.
my favorite words. That's not a
I love
popular
Sovereign.
word, but that is a badass word. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
Mr. Knox, thanks so much for doing this. We'll close it up here and we'll see you back at a later time. Thank you again.
Thank you, Rich. I'll see you around. You have a good one.
My pleasure.